Film gods. Hola. For those of you watching on the YouTube, I've got my cheeky little new microphone. A little blue snowball ice. Hello. For those of you just listening on the podcast, how are you? I hope you are well. I hope you are sending out positive vibes to the universe and receiving it tenfold in return, you wonderful, beautiful human beings. You misfits, as you'll be hearing today in this podcast. The lovely Dave McNulty Grip, who I saw at the BSC Expo, a little lovely phrase where he said the film industry is the last bastion for misfits, and I agree with him. All of you that are listening, you all know there was something about you that just didn't fit in that square peg of a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, doing something that maybe your parents thought was the best thing for you. But they don't know that the love that you get and the excitement that you get from being on set will always be better than any 9 to 5 that you could ever have. So welcome. I looked at the last episode and we're getting people, again, still global, across the entire planet. You are listening, which blows my mind. I want to give a shout out to Creative Caves, who have sponsored this episode, and also really want everyone to go and check out Cine Certified App, because what they're doing for their department, I think we could all do, even globally, for our own roles, which is write down what you do in some form of paper, email kind of content that someone can download, just so that they have across the socio board, whether they can afford to live in your city, whether they can afford to go to uni, it doesn't matter. You as the film crew have written down what it is that they should know and what they will know, so when they come onto your set, they already have that percentage, that small little percentage, so that they feel like they belong there. Because I guess, and I'm sure you probably all had it, same as me, you walk onto that first set as a runner, as a whatever, and you go, oh my God, I don't belong here. Everyone's got so much more experience than me. Everyone's been doing this longer than me. So it just gets rid of that. And today's episode is one of my seconds who I wanted to get on. It's March, so it's International Women's Month, and I just want to get some really phenomenal females on who are top of the game, loving what they do, have got something to say, and that you have a great ep. So thank you again to everyone at Creative Caves, you wonderful people. Go check out Cine Certified, and let's get cracking. Here comes the ep.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So, Film God family, welcome to another fantastic episode. Welcome to our guest, who I've known now for probably more years than I'd like to admit, because it will show my age. But the reason I wanted to get her on is not only is she just very, very good at what she does, her ability to keep calm in scenarios where there's loads of kids flying around and screaming and things, but just being totally in control and calm, being very professional, being extremely good at what she does, but knowing that actually we're there on set to be professional and have fun is why I keep her wrapped around me. And she's a handful of seconds that I just always want on my sets when we have cast. I'm so pleased and blessed that not only does she work for me, that she's also said yes to coming on the Film Gods. So, ladies and gents, hello, and what is your name and what's your role on the call sheet?
Hi, my name is Josey Jacobs, and I'm a second AD on the call sheet.
Ooh, now we'll probably touch base on the difference between commercials and features, because I think there's massive differences. But if we just start with kind of looking back, what was that first little lightning bolt that you had where you're like, I need to get into TV and film and entertainment? What was that? Because I spoke to someone at the BSC, Mr. Dave McNulty, and the phrase that he came up with, which I'm going to let him because he's trademarking, it's like, the film industry is the last bastion for misfits. And I totally get it. It's like, we weren't maybe the best at school. We weren't maybe the smartest. We were probably all the people that on our, teacher parents evenings, they were like, if they just spoke a little less, they'd just do so well. So let's just go back because I think that's where I think we fit into this vibe.
Mhm.
But what was that first moment that you were like, film industry?
So I actually, as a child, was passionate about theatre. I went to uni with the dream of going to do theatre, and I studied film and theatre, and very quickly realized that if I wanted to earn any money in this world, I should go to film. Little did I know that was going to change pretty quickly down the line. But I fell in love with film, and honestly, the way you put it before, we were all the misfits. In our university, we were completely separate. We did our own thing. We made the weirdest things humanly possible, but that's what brought us joy. And through that, I just couldn't let it go. I got a little bit addicted to the whole film life. And here I am many, many years later.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about being film crew, and I think the last year and a half specifically has highlighted that if you want a secure, safe job, income, this isn't the industry for you because you need to be able to deal with and understand and learn that you've traded off to a point, you've traded off your security of a monthly income for the joy of what you do. So where did you started off? Did you get straight into film, or did you start in TV, or were you in theatre for a bit, or how did you? What was that first door that got open for you?
So basically, when I left uni, joined a huge corporation because I knew that they had production companies in-house. And it was the only way I could think to get access to these production companies. So every single lunchtime, I would go and I would bug the production companies and be like, hey guys, do you need a little runner? Do you need anyone? And then after a lot of bullying, I finally got a role. And they called me in and they said, hey, we need a runner for the shoot. And I was like, I'm in. I don't care. I'll do it. And they were like, do you wanna? And I was like, no, no, no. I'm in. I'm in. And I get there on the day and they go, cool, here's your Kevlar gear. And I go, excuse me, what? And they're like, you're a runner. You're being chased by dogs today. That's the role.
What?
And I was like, excuse me? Excuse me? And they were like, we tried to explain it to you, but you said you were just really happy to do the job. And I was like, okay, cool. Is there any chance that I could make teas and coffees and be chased by dogs? Same day, same time?
Kind of feels more
And
like a stunt person than a.
yeah, it was basically a taster for a new TV show that they wanted to try out, and they were
Mm.
going to send it off to all these different big channels to see if anyone would take it on board. And let's put it this way, they didn't use a single piece of footage that I was in because it was too embarrassing. Um,
Oh.
I got caught by every single dog. Every single dog.
I mean, they're supposed to. They're designed to run fast. Humans designed to run far,
Not so
long
fast.
distances.
Mm,
Olympic style long distance. But no, we're not. We're not really designed to out. Even Usain Bolt. If you let Usain Bolt and a greyhound or whatever, even just a even just a normal dog, he's gonna get. He's probably gonna get caught at some point. 100 meters, he's fine. He's
yeah,
absolutely nailing it. But once you hit that 400, that dog's got him. Now that
thank you,
sounds.
Isusko.
That
Thank you.
sounds.
I'll
That
take
sounds
that.
like
I'll take that because
that's just such a random start to the industry. And but even from that point, you're like, I love this.
and this is it. And from that moment, I was like in my Kevlar gear thinking, this is the best place I could possibly be. There is nowhere else I'd rather be. And then luckily through that, I was able to get a bit more work with that production company. And that kind of started my journey. But it was a very good beginning to what has been the journey for me for the rest of it. It feels like I've been chased by dogs the whole way, and I'm totally into that.
And then so you kind of you threw yourself in, you get chased by dogs. What is it then that led you to ADing? What, did you go on? Because I guess from a TV perspective, there's no real ADs. It's kind of floor managers and assistant producers and a lot of, smaller little units to go off and film sections to then make the TV. So what led you into ADing?
So I spent a few years doing entertainment TV. I did mainly things like Made in Chelsea and First Dates and things like that. And as much as I enjoyed it, it wasn't really necessarily for me. And then I was really fortunate to do a TV show where they brought a first AD from commercials onto the show. And I was Slightly obsessed. I thought he was amazing. I loved the way he worked, and I made sure to become best friends and spent every single day letting him know how passionate I was about going into this side of the world. And luckily, he introduced me to Coolbox, the diary service. And
Legend.
through that, I was able to move into commercials. And I'm not going to lie, having seen him work, I was very aware that that's kind of what I wanted to do.
Mm.
And have been following that passion ever since. And before that, I did art department, I did wardrobe, I did production, I did a bit of everything because I just didn't know. And then I saw an AD in action, and I was like, "Oh, that's
I
me."
think I found it. And so you've kind of gone TV into commercials. You found that role of ADing. There's no, and I say this with love and respect for the people that are doing it. There are kind of companies and institutions that do like a year-long course to become a first AD. I totally get it. You're gonna get given a great deal of um, base knowledge, but my opinion on it is that being a runner, especially for ADing, but being a runner is that kind of, for me, felt like my apprenticeship. Did you feel the same, or how did you find that kind of the running experience?
Massively. I mean, I was fortunate enough to do running in entertainment TV, feature films, TV drama, documentaries, and in commercials. So I've done it all. And it is by far the best way to understand how an industry works. I cannot tell you how essential it is to understand your crew on a personal level, to know what it is each role is, what it's for, how it affects your set, what it's like to not have that role on your set. And those are things that you can only learn from having set experience. I think it's really productive to have these courses, but unless they have practical experience, they're not giving you what you need.
Mm, yeah, I, I, I still honestly think that the best first ADs, yes, have got some basics. Like they've got logistics, they understand timings, they have a very firm grasp of how a film set works. But I think their relationships with other crew members is what stands out. The ADs that can manage a floor.
Mhm.
How do you feel those relationships are on set with the AD? Could you just, I know that I've never seen you first, but I just know that you're not going to be a shouter. You're not going to be one of those nasty ADs, you know?
Oh, I honestly don't think that's productive.
Mm,
Um, we are meant to be working as a team. If I'm shouting and screaming at you all day, we're not on the same team. And if we're not on the same team, you're not working with me, you're working against me.
mm,
It's not quite as straightforward as that, but I think it does end that direction. I've worked under a lot of shouty ADs and seen the effect that has on the crew. And personally, I don't think it's ever been positive. I think communication is absolutely key. I think every single department is equal. Um, you cannot run a set without every department that's there. And we know this because we've done shoots without certain departments and we felt the effect of them not being there.
mm,
So I think that's really what we do as ADs. We are managers. We're bringing everyone together to be able to sort of conduct this beautiful symphony every day. And we're really lucky to be able to do it because sometimes I worry that we don't really do much. We just manage everyone else doing what they do. So we've got to make sure that we do that in the best possible way and keep
mm,
everyone happy, you know?
mm. I like how you started talking about conductors and then you kind of went into this beautiful singing voice. Just very poignant. Turn over the camera.
Shoot.
Um, I mean, it seems like the role of AD hasn't changed, but the overall caricature seems like the wrong word. But having from knowing ADs that I work for as a second, they've kind of told me like back in the day, it was Sergeant Major vibes. And as you said, now I don't think anyone does want to get shouted at on set. We're changing. It's
Yeah.
like as you said, once you start shouting on, as soon as I hear anyone really
Mm.
shouting on set, you kind of go, oh, you've lost. There's something happening inside them. the panic, the fear, the
Yeah.
tension is there, and you can't shoot efficiently when like we did I did a thing shot. I'm NDA'd, but it's like we had a day where we had so much to do, but it wasn't a kind of normal scripted boarded. It was like the agency gave director free rein. Director kind of came up with a load of different ideas, but from the get go, from the scheduling, they just went, we don't have to shoot all of this. I've got a load of stuff. It's kind of we're just doing some pickups. So if we don't get it all done in the day, it doesn't matter. And we had loads to do. Like one of those days you're like, this is loads to do. But because the pressure, there was no pressure on anyone. We got everything in. We actually wrapped a little early. But the days where you have to get it in, everyone gets a little bit tense. Everything's just a little bit more tense, and no one's really thinking as clearly because there's just this tension. Like,
Mm.
what do you like? We've all been on those sets. What do you do when you can start feeling that tension? What is it that you're trying to think of doing, and what do you do just to help just release the dogs? Get one in Kevlar
Every
and just
single
release the
time.
dogs at lunch.
Let's put them
Yeah,
back there. Do you want me to just to be honest, what I like to do is I tend to have at least one runner who's a little bit silly.
yeah.
And
Mm,
I like sending that. Let's say I'm shooting a really intense conference scene, for example, and I've got all my cast members inside, and everyone's so stressed that we're all kind of sitting a little bit like this because there's so much to do.
yeah,
I like to send a runner in and get silly.
yeah.
Like, just lighten that mood a little bit. Make sure that you're going around communicating with your team, aware that you're supporting them, that you see that they're struggling and that they need time, they need energy. You see that, you see them, and smiling. It's tiny, it's a tiny little thing, but it's just about letting people know that you're on the same team as them. It's hard, it's stressful, but we're here together. And we're gonna have a good
Mm,
time because it's not surgery.
no, no one should die. It's not rocket science, it's not brain surgery. And what I just love what you just said there is one, I think that I do the same thing. I always try and make sure we got runners on set that
Yeah.
because there's this, and I say this with the love for what running is, but there's times that you're on set and you're thing and it's all stressy and stuff, and then a runner or someone that's just not in that pressure cooker will just come in, and they haven't got
You need.
the yeah, they haven't got all of that the word I'm looking for is kind of I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but they're so out of it they can just come in refreshed, fresh eyes, and just drop a little something. You're like, and there we go. Now we're back, and now we're calm. But what I love what you said was how you're there for each other,
Mhm.
and the role of an AD is to try and pull everyone in.
Yeah.
Now you are the next generation of ADs, and I know that there's WhatsApp groups and there's things, and you've got like this little pocket of ADs that you kind of have a wrap around you to help kind of ask questions and stuff. But how important has that kind of mini community? So the film industry is global, and then the
Mhm.
UK is a little slice niche out of it. ADing is an even smaller slice. Commercials AD is a smaller slice. So in that little niche pocket, how important has it been to have people on the similar journey at the similar time frame as you to help what has been probably a very difficult, for most people, a difficult kind of 18 months?
Honestly, the community that we've built has been absolutely essential for me, to be able to continue on doing this. This world, like we said, can be very spontaneous, can be very wild, things can come out of nowhere last minute. But in the same way, you might not hear anything for a while. And that can be a really, really lonely space, especially when you're not aware of what your community is going through. So, in the last few years, we've started quite a few WhatsApp groups with different members of the community to just discuss what we're going through, to support each other, to be able to have a voice. And I know that if I need something, I can lean on them, and they know they can lean on me. And we try and do like a monthly meetup or just a little catch up, a little dinner if we can. And that has just made it feel a lot more human, in a space that can feel pretty scary sometimes.
Mm. And in that scary space, like when I started, I I can probably, especially the commercials world at that time, I could probably throughout my ADing career on one hand name the female ADs that I worked under. Now
Mhm.
that seems to be changing. It feels like it's changing because I mean there's a lot more there's just a lot more women
Mhm.
that came in as runners that are now coming up as seconds that are now firsting. Have you seen a shift in how sets of the demands on sets or the demands for sets, or do you still very much feel like, you're surrounded by dudes on a daily basis?
I think it's definitely got better, not only gender-wise, but diversity-wise.
Hmm.
I'm seeing a lot more different faces on set. When I first started, I was seeing the same face over and over again.
Sorry. So I
I'm
just wanted you around. Am I gonna say
not gonna lie, it was a little bit blonder than yours, but I'll take it.
so?
Um, But I feel very lucky to have seen the evolution. When I first started, I remember telling someone I wanted to be an AD, one of a male AD who is a very lovely human. He didn't say this in anything out of whatever, but I remember him telling me that if I wanted to AD, I'd have to lower my voice when I shouted because people don't listen to women's high-pitched voices. And it was just little things like that that would just
Mm,
consistently come through, telling me that if I wanted to be an AD, just be prepared that everyone would call me mother. And me being like, wow, I've never assumed to call a first AD daddy, so I don't know why you're gonna call me
that
mother.
would be weird. That
That
would
would
be
be
strange. That
weird.
would
So
be
I don't know
strange.
why I would assume anything different. But I have to say,
Mm,
I haven't had that conversation in a while. It's been a few times. And, I've stepped up. So this is something that maybe runners still are encountering. But I
mm,
feel that there's definitely been an energy shift in the way that we see women on set. There's definitely a level of respect that didn't exist previously. So it's
mm,
great. We're going in the direction that we need to, but there's still a lot of work left to be done, unfortunately.
And what and I ask this because it's a I I feel strongly about this,
Mm,
that a change happening needs to be respectful for the person and the individual, that they don't get thrown into something too soon, too
mhm,
quick, that they're not ready for, and it either one scares them off from wanting to do it, or two, they they're the crew around them don't know that they're just stepping up for the first time and think that that's them as a second, as a first, as a DP, as a insert role here. And then they kind of the respect that they should have,
mhm.
having done the time, they kind of lose. So what's is the best way how you've done it? Start at the bottom, work your way up, and I'm sure there's probably been times where you kind of weren't ready to
Mm,
second, but you did. But
mhm.
would you have felt comfortable being thrown in a lot sooner to um not to tick a box, but to mandate change sooner? So it's like, should we be kind of just putting people into higher roles quicker so that we do start getting more of a difference of crew?
I think the big thing is access to training.
Okay.
One of the reasons why, we're throwing people into roles too quickly is because they don't have the opportunity to train. And one of the
Hmm.
reasons why there isn't the opportunity to train is our industry is still very nepotistic.
Hmm.
We are still getting a lot of people in through nepotism, but not just that. Those who are coming in through nepotism are getting an extra level of training. They are learning from day one. Let's say your dad is a DOP. Your dad is training you how to be set wise from the moment you're born. He's bringing
Mm,
you to set with him. You're getting a level of training that gets you above and beyond before you even start. And so then you're asking people external, let's say women, people of color, things like that, who don't have that nepotism to give them that extra step. They are not one step below, they're 5 steps below.
mm,
So they need access to more training to allow them to be on a level with people who are getting it without even thinking.
Mm,
And I remember when I first came in, that was the thing that was really terrifying for me because I was looking at I came into commercials when I was about 27 years old, and I was working alongside people who were 17, who were more experienced in commercials than I was. And I remember thinking, that's insane. How can I be 10 years older than these people and know less? Well, because they had all the specialized training from the experience of growing within that world that I didn't have. And I would have loved to have sort of a fast track learning opportunity. And the best part for that would have been a community. That would
mm,
have been the solution, is going in and speaking to other women who would have been in the same situation as I am and learning from them. But that didn't exist when I first came in. So I'm hoping that's something that we can build.
Well, it sounds like with and I think your generation, and I say that with full respect, that kind of that next generation that is going to be the full-time first ADs in 10 years, 5, 10, 20 years. You know, you are the generation that will be, and I said this previously on I think the last episode we did a thing with Cine Certified, and the camera team were building a free camera trainee kind of logbook that just had it all in. And I think it's a really lovely idea, concept, reality that they
Mhm.
started with and they built to that actually does allow for people that don't have parents in the industry, that can't afford to live in London, that can't afford to run a car, that can't afford to kind of do the low budget, whatever .com
Mhm.
backslash cheap film. Um, and I think that community that you're talking about, I think organic community feels like the right way to go and to build it in and start slow and it get bigger. Um, and I don't and I'm not sure how it starts or if it has started, but I think where we're going is in the right direction. You look at the roles and the demographic of people that were in roles. It's like there's certain departments that have just completely flip changed. And it's
Massive.
like, the gruff insert whatever role you want to talk to now are drinking chai lattes and doing yoga and stuff. And I think as community, as the world potentially is even changing to become a little bit more empathetic and harmonious, I think that slowly drip feeds into the film industry. Now, look, the film industry is very hierarchical. It has to be. I,
Mhm.
I, I don't think you can't go on set and not have a director or a leader or a voice to just help corral and move people. But I think what it seems like you've been saying is that kind of it is a team effort, and the funny runner that can come in and just diffuse a moment is just as important as the agency producer and the client and the this and the other. And I love it, and I really love it. So looking at that kind of 5, 10 year landscape. Um, and I think the last 18 months has been a time to reflect. Um, and we've had some people that have decided to leave the industry because they haven't been able to maintain enough work. Where do you see the next kind of 10 years, and what do you feel like this last 18 months has been?
Yeah. Honestly, the thing is, the film industry is always evolving. Like it has to. It's entertainment. It's what we, take every day, like food, to keep us going. And if it doesn't change, it dies. If it doesn't evolve, it stays behind. And I
Mm,
think the last couple of years, we've really seen the effect of AI. I mean, we've seen the effect of CGI AI for the last 10 years in post-production, but now we're really starting to see its effect in production and pre-production. Looking at how AI affects scripts, how we shoot on film. Luckily, last year, I was able to do quite a lot of stuff on LED volumes,
nice.
using motion control, all sorts of really cool stuff. And I think this is we're progressing to new cool things, but there is still this passion and joy for the real. If you look at films like Wicked, Wonka, Barbie, they had real sets built here in the UK, incredible ones. I think we are evolving, we are changing, but that is what we do as an industry, and we have to keep up. We have to hold on to our community, hold on to each other, kind of like a roller coaster. Hold on tight and see where we end up, you know? It's half the fun.
That is the full fun. It's like Bill Hicks. He's like, it is life. Life is just, it's just a ride. Don't worry about it. It's
You don't
absolutely
like it, get
fine.
off, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But we're going full pedal. I'm
Yeah.
in.
I think you're right. The AI chat that seems to have become a thing in most of these last episodes. Someone sent me, as a runner I used to work with now is in production, Elvis, and he sent me this YouTube video, and I think I posted it on one of the groups, and I watched it without knowing what it was. I was like, that's a really nice spot. It's a
Hmm.
really nice spot. It was for a car company, Porsche, and it's about the head turning and a thing and da da da. And it showed the commercial, and then it had this whole kind of like 4 minute behind the scenes. And then so he let me watch that, and then he sent me the thing, and it was like all of this, every single thing, apart from the piece to camera, the interview, everything else was generated in AI. And a year and a half ago, we were all laughing about, oh, they can't get the hands right, oh, they can't get the eyes right, and I was like, everyone, chill yourself, because they've only been like this has only been happening for like a year, and they've got to the point that they only need to figure out hands and eyes. It's like this it was such a beautiful thing, but and I agree with you, made by humans for humans, that soul, the element of what makes a film, I think will always be important. Yes, there is going to be a market for AI. There's going to be, how many, the Spider-Man, the Miles Morales, the cartoons. It's like we've had visually generated cartoons, films forever, and I
Mhm.
think there's a fear that we're just going to be out of a job. I honestly, where I was last year, going, that's it, never gonna make another film again. Now I'm like, okay, cool. I think people still want stuff made by people with real people about real life and real stories.
Yeah, I honestly also I think as ADs, we're safer than some other departments in the sense that, especially ADs in commercials, because we work on set managing the on-set production, there is more longevity in what we do because that's really hard to replace with a computer or AI, especially on-set running. Now, if you look at longer form, I went to a conference last year and we had a lot of discussions over, you know, crowd. Are we going to see crowd anymore? Is that going to be something
Mm,
that we just create completely digitally and that is not a human job anymore? And so that is a worry. In long form, those sort of jobs will be going from the AD department. I see that in the future. But I think in commercials, we've got a lot more longevity, as long as we're willing to evolve.
well, the evolution of an industry will always happen. Always happen.
Let's
I
do.
think technology has made it faster, has accelerated the process. I hadn't even thought about crowds. So yeah, thirds on. Yeah, I mean, if you're shooting Gladiator, big,
Thank
massive
you doing it.
auditorium, half of that was, the majority of that was kind of fake anyway. And I think there'll always be a need for, a bustling London street. You'll always need people, foreground wipes, background, interactions and stuff. But yeah, that I hadn't even thought about
Not
that.
going to tile anymore if I don't need to. If I've
Yeah,
already
yeah,
got people on my screen, why am I going to bring in the real humans?
yeah.
I completely agree, a busy street, and that's why I think short form, we're actually a little bit safer
Mm,
because you're not going to replace that bustling street, but you are going to replace the whole of the gladiator arena.
yes. Yeah, yeah. And then so commercials wise, because we haven't actually touched base with anyone about this, the I think the business model of production companies has been affected
Hmm.
drastically with how people consume content. So this little thing here,
Hmm.
the pocket rocket in our, the
Tiny
tiny
phone.
little iPhone 916 that seems to become, more and more prevalent now for
9:16,
filming
16 by 9,
formats. Yeah,
9:16.
1-1, shoot 1-1, shoot, just shoot it wider, and then we'll just find it. But it's like, oh my God, you can't really actually then frame up for anything and figure anything out.
No,
But commercials changing now to instead of the 60-second, 30-second commercial, now to kind of being like 10-second TikToks. Have you seen the I don't want to use the word caliber, but the stature of a film set to me seems like it's kind of getting on the whole a little bit smaller and smaller as a percentage over the year, meaning back in the day when I was running, everything was 35 mil, everything was shot at Black Island, Duke's Island, the odd location stuff, and we were just shooting full crews, pre-light days, set builds, all the rest of it. Have you seen a change in the type of film sets that you've been on these last kind of 3, 4, 5 years?
massively. I mean, one of the huge things, especially in the last year and a half, and everything's been sort of slowing down a little bit, is multi-unit sets. So I did one shoot last year. I'll be careful not to go into too much detail for the NDA, but we were doing 4 units running in one day, multi-locations, where I was seconding as the only second throughout all those units. And it's really, really tricky.
Mm,
And it's this idea that if we do it all at the same time, then it will be faster and it will be easier. But really, logistically, it's just a lot harder.
mm,
Um, but that seems to be the way that people seem to be justifying doing 4-day shoots in one day is just multi-unit it. It's fine. We'll
yeah.
figure it out.
I mean, we did one. I think we had stills, a main unit, a second unit. Did we have No, we just had the 3 units all running at the same
For the
time.
three.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all running at the same time,
With
all
the
kind
same
of needing the
cast.
same cast. So it's that it suddenly becomes this like jigsaw puzzle of not what's the best way to shoot it for one unit, and then not on a standard film set you kind of go right, main unit go in, we shoot it, stills come in off the back of us, do your thing. It's like no, 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 everyone's as important. And you go, okay, well then I can't. As soon as
Yeah.
everyone's just as important, there's no hierarchy to then go, well, I need to take them out of that set to put them in that set because I've got to change the lights and the sets and the dig. And he did really well on that one because we were flying. Like after that post lunch, we were flying.
It was an insane day. But I think that's the other issue is that previously, when we had multi-unit sets, there was a hierarchy. And now
Mm,
it's getting to the point where we're saying that every single one of these units is just as essential as the other. Well, then they should be having their own days that we
yep.
can give them the love and passion they deserve, rather than all of us giving a third of our energies to something that deserves a full 100.
Yes. Yeah, the half day and the full day and a half day so that stills can have what they and the thing is that no one ever then it's this kind of rushed
Mhm.
no one ever has the time to really like I kind of I feel it's a much tougher job for directing because you don't have the time to back in the day shooting on film you don't turn over the camera until we've got a rehearsal that we like you're rehearsing and then you shoot and you do as many takes as you need but you've kind of figured out the nuts and bolts now directors I'm like we got to shoot the rehearsal I'm more like
Yeah.
I'm so sorry it's we've got to that point and I would hate to do it but we, like the shooting process, if we get it in one of the rehearsals, I'd really kick myself that we didn't turn the camera over because we haven't got the time to then get back and figure out that little beautiful moment that we got. Um,
It takes a lot of that out of the shoot. You know,
mm,
historically, you'd have that time where you're with the director and you're building something and you're making something and you're seeing it progress. And now it's like you get there, put the actors in front of the camera, and you have to shoot it first time. Maybe you get 2 takes, but you got to keep moving because you don't have enough time in the day. And it's like, oh, what a shame.
mm,
We could have really built something really beautiful and fun. And that's just not, you just can't do that with 4 units in one day.
no, no, and also, the 10-second cut downs,
Yeah.
it's I think maybe the way that people are consuming
Hmm.
especially commercials, it's like, and I know I'd do it. The commercial comes up, you watch it for like 2 seconds, you flick it because actually you're looking for something either particular or something to make you laugh, or you're looking for something to, sport, or, whatever you're looking for. So it's like our our inability. as a society to focus on something. And so to this point, which actually spun me out, there was an article that I was reading, and commissioners, and this was last year, so I don't know whether this has changed yet, but commissioners were asking or suggesting that they needed more like long form TV products. So, your Netflix series, your Amazon series, the 20 episode or whatever, 12 episode thing that weren't that engaging, because what they wanted to have
Mhm.
was shows that people could just put on in the background whilst they're flicking through their phone, whilst they're doing some working. And if it's too engaging, um,
And it won't
they,
work.
then they can't do their work, and then they won't watch it and they won't have it in the background. And I've got to be honest, I actually found myself doing this. So I was scheduling this job yesterday. It's half term.
Mhm.
I'm trying to be with the kids as much as I can, but I had to schedule in the thing. So I'm scheduling in the evening, and I put on a show. Someone said I had to watch Mary Kingstown. So I started watching Mary Kingstown, and I was scheduling, and I did. I found myself. I was looking at the screen. I was looking at the screen. I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, I haven't actually scheduled anything for like 20 minutes here because I've just been watching the TV. So I totally get it. But I think if that is going to be something that we're going to be making,
Oh,
how good is that going to be if you kind of like, you're there with the director and you go, right, how was that? And the director goes, it was too good. It was too engaging. We need to do a take where it's not as good so that people don't fucking watch it. It's like, where are we going to go with content if we're trying to make stuff that people can be distracted watching?
but that already exists.
Uh,
People are making bad stuff all the time. Like, like people are making that stuff
yeah,
without you
yeah,
wanting them to. It
yeah, yeah.
exists. Just
It
look
does.
for bad stuff. Just go Rotten Tomatoes. Anything under 50%, put that on. You're done. Don't waste my time making something that you know is going to be bad.
Oh God.
Is one of the reasons I prefer commercials because I can do something that I know is probably not going to be great for 24 hours, 48. But if I'm giving you 6 months of my life, this better
Mm,
be an Oscar because
yes.
I don't want to give it to you otherwise.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's particularly heartbreaking. Talking to people being like, oh, I've worked 6 months on a project that isn't meant to be engaging.
And you've like, you've given up friends' birthdays, you haven't seen your
Weddings,
partners,
funerals,
you haven't gone and seen your kids, and all of a sudden it comes out and you're like, oh, this is just background. It's like elevator music.
and it
I'm
was
not,
always meant to be.
it was always,
Always meant to be.
that
Always
would be soul destroying. Like, do that. Have AI do that stuff. There
exactly.
you go.
Exactly.
We've just
Let
sorted it.
me
We've just nailed it.
Let's go home.
Yeah, that's it. We've sorted it. Thank guys. Welcome.
Um,
Thank you, podcast. Okay, no, no, we're getting close to kind of like, I think we're almost at the 45 minute. And what I always love to do towards the end of the episode is like we've gone down some lovely little avenues. We've spoken about some stuff that really feels like it's close to your heart and close to home. Is there anything that we've spoken about that you want to touch base on, or something that I haven't or we haven't spoken about that you want to just have a little riff on for five?
uh, one thing I do want to discuss really quickly is the differences between the worlds. I think a lot of
Meaning,
people don't understand how different feature films, TV entertainment,
okay.
commercial entertainment TV, all documentaries, all those worlds are so incredibly different, sorry. And they all come with their own nuances that make them interesting to who you are as a person. And I think that's really important when you're looking to go into this industry is finding your industry within this industry because
Mm,
not every single one works for you. I had to try pretty much all of them to find this one to know that it works for me. And I still jump around. Occasionally, I'll do a documentary here, I'll still do a feature film, a TV drama if they ask me. But I know now that I won't go back to entertainment TV because I know it doesn't work for me.
hmm.
And
Why is
this,
that?
why is that? That is because I prefer the uniformity and the rigidity of things like commercials, long form, and um, feature films, TV drama. I find entertainment TV a little bit too crazy out there for me. It's a world that I used to exist in, but I don't exist in anymore. And I think that it's a great world if you love it, but you have to love it.
Mm.
And that's the thing with all of this world. You have to love it to do it. If you don't love it, get another job. It's
Mm.
too hard.
It's
The
too
days
long.
are long. The days are long.
Yeah.
We were together a couple of weeks ago and we were outside in the cold all day. It's freezing. You've got to be willing to do a
Yeah.
14-hour shift standing in the cold all day. And if that's not for you, go find something else.
Mm.
It's hard. It's hard.
It's tough.
Um,
And it's also a long time in a career to do
yeah,
something for 20 years that you don't like.
yeah, yeah, exactly that. And if you don't like the people, you don't like the worlds.
Yeah.
It's another reason I did short form is because I can put up with anyone for 2 days. Anyone, anyone,
Anyone, bring him
anyone.
in. Hitler, bring him in. 2 days. It's not a
Two
problem.
days,
It's fine.
three, but two, fine.
Two, fine.
Fine.
I'm not doing a 6 week. No.
I can do that. But yeah, anyone who's listening, I just think it's really important for them to understand that the worlds are different within our
Mm,
world. And just because one doesn't work for you doesn't mean you won't find the one that does.
mm, nice. And then I guess even from an experienced AD's perspective, there's probably going to be some people listening to this that have been in commercials for 10 years that kind of go, oh, the grass is greener, in long form, or have been doing long form and go, oh, just the grass is greener in commercials. I get more and I don't have to do stuff. There will always be, I think there will always be this element of looking at what others are doing, checking social media and just seeing that he's working, she's working, they're working, da da da, da, and thinking, fuck. But I think there needs to be a level of, and I think you've done it right. I think, going in at the run level and tasting, it's like an all you can eat. You've gone in, you've tasted all you can eat, you've gone, I really love X. I'm eating Argentinian steak and drinking red
All
wine.
day.
I'm in. I'm done. That's it. That's what I'm doing. But I think there does need to be a kind of commitment to like don't give up just because
Yeah.
it's hard,
Yeah.
because it's all hard. It can
Exactly.
all be, you could go onto any set in any
Mhm.
niche in any area and it'd be a really difficult set. So I think the kind of picking one once you've tasted it, choosing it and staying with it through the good, through the tough, through the good, through the tough, because they're all just lessons that you're learning. Like
Yeah.
I did a long form faction entertainment thing, and there were some really difficult days. And actually, what you found is that because they had built a community around what they shoot and how they shot it, they had the Joker, they had the roles, they had all those different. There's a serious dude. There's the dude that does the jokes. There's the one that says things that everyone wants to say, but they had this little family. It was an absolute little family that just worked. And it was like there was a lot of just crazy uncles. Like every family has a crazy uncle. We are the misfits, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of crazy uncles. But it's like don't give up on that set because it felt tough or you made a mistake and you want to hide. It's like you're gonna fuck up. Shit's
Hmm.
gonna go wrong. At times, shit will go wrong, and that's because we're having to work at a pace that's so fast that you can't keep all the plates spinning. A plate is going to drop, and as long as God bless no one dies, the plate that drops doesn't really matter. But I like what you're saying. It's kind of find the one that you like, stick at it, choose it.
Throw
But
yourself.
they are all different. They all from every perspective. Like a DP in faction entertainment isn't the same as DP on live sport. Isn't the same as a DP in commercials. It all changes.
It all changes, and you've got to find what works for you. And the highs are really high, and the lows
Mm,
are really low. And as long as you're willing to ride that roller coaster, you'll get there. But you've got to be willing to play the game.
agreed. It's like how many other industries at the end of a project, let's say, we do a 3 day shoot and it's been tough and it's hard, or a 5 day shoot, or even just a 1 day shoot, but it's been really difficult. At the end of the day, when we say thank you so much for all your hard work today, that is a wrap. There's cheering, there's clapping, people are hugging, there's high fiving. Like, can you imagine?
The office
The
every
Office.
day.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah, we sent those emails. High five, pow. It's like there's this camaraderie that comes around with, and this is why I love the film industry.
Yeah.
And no matter how many times I go, really, this has been a tough year. This has been a tough month. How am I going to pay the mortgage? How am I going to pay the bills? Where's the job going to come into? Where's, the pension, the security, the all that kind of stuff. You then get on set and you go, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
I absolutely fucking loved it. And I don't know if there's anything else I could do on this planet that would tick that job role. I love being at home, I love being with the family, I love going out with friends. But from a job, from what you do for that 12, 14, 16 hours in that one day to earn some money, I fucking love it.
I know. So do I. And I just wish I didn't. I
Yeah.
wish I could. And I've done the office thing. I've done
Yeah.
it. I can't do it again. So unfortunately, this is it. This is me. I'm
Yeah.
in. You've got me. Take me
Done.
away.
Take
I'm
me.
done. I'm in. And it's like you say, it's the family. It's
Hmm.
the family that keeps you. We do commercials, one day, maybe 2 days, and then I might not see the same person again for 6 months. And then when I see them that same time, we are hugging like I saw them yesterday.
Yeah.
We are catching up. We are, bonding again as if it's been no time. And there'll be people I haven't seen in years, and then I'll turn up on set and we'll chat like it was yesterday. And
Mm.
that is the community that I love.
Yeah.
And it's one of the many reasons that I cannot get away from this game.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about that catching up. This kind of just sums up, for me, this sums up the kind of mentality of the person that will thrive in the film industry. It was years ago, and I was second in, and we're on set, and I saw, and I'm not going to say names, and I won't say departments, um, but you kind of do that. I'm second in, so I hadn't really gone on the floor. We've, get the cast, step on set, and they were needing to tweak, and I saw this person, and you kind of you're shoulder to shoulder because you can't. They're prepping, they're doing their stuff, they're working. So you're doing the shoulder to shoulder. How you been? Yeah, yeah. You went, how you been? I went, yeah, yeah, been all right. I was like, how you been? He went, oh, I got diagnosed with cancer, last year. Da, da, da. I was like, oh, you're right. He went, yeah, yeah. And then as you've gone, yeah, yeah, and they've gone, right, we need to move the thing. So he's just like, all right, and it just goes off, and you're like, these are that's the kind of level of attitude towards the work that you're like, no matter what's going on, you still feel, if you're friends, you can still feel like you can have that kind of throwaway comment of just the massive life changing and someone gets it. But it's like if you're in an office and someone just said, oh, I got diagnosed with cancer last year, there'd be like a sit down, a meeting, an
HR
HR and
meeting.
thing. And how do you think? And what do we talk about? It's like, no, no, no. It's like, look, they're going through their shit. We're going through our shit. Everyone's going through their own stuff, but we come together on set to kind of half forget
Yeah,
what's going on outside of that film set. And for that 12 hours, the world could be burning
yeah,
on fire, like outside of the film studio. You have no idea what's going on. And you're
no,
just shooting, and you don't even know it's daylight. It's like sometimes you go out and your lunch, you go, oh, Jesus Christ, it's so sunny. It's like this,
no.
it's got this addiction. And because as a British film crew, we have such passion for what we do,
Mm.
like we're not just just throw it up, man, it's fine. No, we'll get away with it. It's like, no, no, no. Everyone has such a precision to what they want to do. It's why the Americans have been coming over and shooting so many of the massive features. It's because we are
Yeah,
probably, as the Carlberg, we're probably the best film crew on the planet. It's just we get it, we understand it,
yeah.
we get on with it, we can do it
Care.
safely, we care,
We
we
care.
care.
We are painfully passionate, and maybe we need to stop. Maybe we need to
Yes.
stop being so great all the time. But for now,
It's not fair. It's not fair on the planet that we are
they're all
so
like,
good at what we do.
UK, stop being so great all the time. And we're like,
Like winning the Super Bowl back to back, just every year. Just every
we
year.
are the Super Bowl. We're the whole
Boom. Right.
baby.
Okay. So we get to the end. I feel like we've kind of felt like, well, that was a nice little rounded moment.
Hmm.
So we always get to the end of the app. It's two questions.
Yeah.
The last one will be your kind of acceptance speech. Anyone you want to give a shout out to, the people, the projects, the things. Obviously that are outside of your NDAs that you can. But the first one that I always like to ask, and actually I do want to pick a specific point here
Okay.
because there seems like out of all of the moments and all of the beats that we've spoken about, there's one that just really stands out as a test, as a point of like, okay, so Josefina,
We're
you
back.
say you want to be in the film industry. Don't know what I've got in español, but
Está
está
bien. No
bien,
me
está
preocupa
bien.
para nada.
Okay, so you are you. You have been transported back to this point, and you're just taking off your Kevlar suit in the green room, having just been ripped apart by dogs.
The third
What are
time.
you like? What just you're sitting there. It's just the two of you in that room. What advice are you giving to that person?
The advice I'm giving that person is believe in yourself because it's no one else's job to do so.
Mm,
The only person who's going to get you in this game is you. Even if you are here through nepotism, doesn't matter. The only person who's going to get you this job is you. And understanding that it is on your shoulders up to the point that you build your community, I think would have helped me so much. There's this idea that you've got to do it all on your own, but to do it on your own, you need a community. So if I could go back to that person, I'd say you need to believe in yourself, you need to do it, and you need to find your people.
mm,
Find your people, build your world, and you will be so much happier than you thought you could be. And that's what I've done now. And it took me a long time to do it. It wasn't a 2-day process. It was a multi-year process, but it was so.
mm. Yeah, it is worth it. You're right.
Mm.
Beautiful, lovely. Well, look, don't know if the microphone picks up the clap, but I'm going to do a slower clap. Well done, yay! So, last question. So
Mhm.
it's your moment. Give a shout out to the people, the projects, anything that you want to give a shout out to or bring attention to.
One person I'd like to do a little shout out for is Jerome Frank,
Boom.
first AD in the game.
Sexiest man in showbiz.
So
Jerome.
amazing through and through. But he's the one who got me from entertainment TV to commercials. And he believed in me and saw something in me. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would believe in myself as much as I have. So I have a big love for him. Also, my cool box girls. Like,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah, yeah, I'm cool
those,
box, baby.
those girls are more than a diary service. They're a support network. They're a loving team, and I know a lot of people have benefited from them. And I think more people need to take advantage of their diary services and what that
Mm.
can give us. Because I don't know if I've said it, but I'm a big believer in community. I know
Oh, no,
I'm subtle
you haven't
throughout
said
the
it at all.
whole process.
Hashtag
But
community.
But I believe in support. I believe in community. I believe in building a world, and I did that through Callbox, and through my ADs, like your fantastic self, and yeah, that's who I like to shout out. My community.
Boom. Ladies and gents, we went down some we
Mm.
had some conversations about some things I never actually thought we were going to talk about, but I'm so pleased that we spoke about it because everything that you've spoken about is the truth.
Mm.
To somebody out there that needed to hear it, thank you for being so open and honest. And ladies and gents, until we meet again, obviously, I always forget to do this. Please follow us, Instagram, at the Time Scheduler,
Right.
at Film Gods.
Button down
Subscribe,
here.
follow. There's a button somewhere, fuck knows where. But ladies and gents, until we meet again, that is a wrap.
Thank
So that was a chat with the king or queen in the game. I'll give it a shout at the end so you all know the name. It's the Film Gods Podcast. The what? The Film God Podcast.